This is a production of Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
Little bit of behind the scenes. Jacob and I just preparing for this ball report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to vassy.com. And I told him, I said, I'm going to ask you about your most gratifying moment from last year. And he said, tell me who it is. Now I just went ahead and clicked the start button because Jacob, we want to do it fresh. We want to do it fresh for David Vassy.
I get it.
We don't want to do the show in the parking lot. So
right. I get it.
We're going to get to that. And I'm going to start with most gratifying moment from last year. So this is brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden, where they have everything you need, whether you need the blowers, hedge trimmers, or the actual big, huge commercial lawnmower. They've got it there at Vassy Lawn and Garden, where Toro, count on it. They're awesome. Man alive, it's worth the drive. I don't care if you're coming from Chattanooga or if you're coming from Knoxville, right there in Cleveland. All right, what was your – I'll tell you what Coop says. We talked to Cooper Mays that you can also find at offthehooksports.com. Please set your notifications on. Subscribe to Twitter. Subscribe to, I should say, YouTube for some early notifications for sneak peeks. What was your most gratifying moment as a player personally and as a team from last year?
I think personally, and I guess kind of this might be some of the guys on the team too, just winning those SEC games that we were, I guess, not even really projected to win, but those games like Kentucky, Missouri, going to Columbia, Missouri, and beating them by 40 points, playing Kentucky, and end up winning 45-42. You know what I mean? In a great game where it comes down to the wire or whatever it may be. I think those, for me, looking back at those games, has kind of been were the most gratifying for me, because those are games that, that's like the majority of your season. Those are good games that kind of test you and kind of good competition, obviously, every week. And so those for me were gratifying wins, I guess, from where in my opinion.
No, I can totally roll with that. So is it more gratifying to beat an SEC opponent than it is to beat you're already shaking your head. I'll just end this. It's the SEC. Come on.
Right. Yeah. And it's, they say it just means more, right? That's the SEC's logo or slogan, whatever. I think it's like all games are important, obviously, but a win over Missouri or a win over a good Kentucky team is obviously very exciting, and you should expect to win every game. But those it's still really fun to come out with a win.
Yeah, and so I thought that as well. And I did a breakdown on swing games that I thought would kind of define your all season. As a player, do you do that? Do you look at it? And I know you expect to win every game. Please don't misunderstand me here. But do you look at it as this one's going to be tough to pull off? This one should be. Do you actually go through it? You don't have to tell me which teams, but do you kind of go through the schedule like that?
Yeah, everybody does. I think you look at it like. Right. I think we've had the conversation. I've had a conversation with somebody talking about predictions, right, for next season. And you look at the schedule and you say, okay, yep, we're stacked up good against them. Okay, like we're gonna have to strap it up versus them, whatever. Like that'll be a good game. We can come out, whatever. So you kind of look ahead and think, like you said, right, like not overlooking any opponents or thinking that any one is more important than the other. But there's definitely some that you're like, okay, yeah, that'll be a competitive game. That'll be a good one.
All right, let me ask you about the first athlete you were a fan of. But first, it was Father's Day over the weekend. Your dad played at Tennessee. Had to be cool to get together with him. You guys are a couple of guys at Tennessee you should be proud of. So tell us about your pops and how he's doing nowadays.
Yeah, he's doing great. We actually just did a little Father's Day special thing for Vol football. They posted a little video. He enjoyed it. My parents enjoyed it, obviously, but got to go out to eat and get some dinner with them. And I see them pretty regularly just because, like you said, like I'm from Knoxville, and it's not too hard to go down the street, and just got a new car, so I'm having to run it back and forth to the shop or to whatever and see him every time I go. And so like I said, I see him all the time, but it's cool to kind of have a day specifically for him, and he's doing well, man. He living his best life, talking about all the things he's gonna get once everybody's off the insurance and off, you know what I mean? Once he doesn't have to pay for school anymore, all that stuff. So, so he's excited.
Yeah, he and I are in a similar place.
Hmm.
James Warren, of course, played for Tennessee on the offensive line, which leads me to, what was the first athlete that maybe you were a fan of or that you looked up to as you were growing up? Tennessee, NBA, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If it's any sport, it would be probably. So I played hockey when I was a kid. I played. I was a travel. I played travel, and I played like house league, whatever. But I played goalie, and there's a really good goalie. His name's Marc Andre Fleury. He played for the Penguins. So him and Sidney Crosby were my two favorite players. Like I would watch every game. They were my people. I had pictures of them up in my room, everything like that. And I guess that's kind of weird, but like the first people that I think of is them. Um, yeah, that'd be the first ones.
Okay, so that's it. I knew you were into hockey and you played hockey. I knew that,
Hmm.
but I didn't know that into it. So if you could snap your fingers and instantly become, you know where I'm going, and instantly become
Yeah.
an NHL standout or a NFL standout, which would it be?
Mm,
Oh, he's thinking.
I don't know. That's tough. It would probably still be NFL like at this point, just because I don't know. That's hockey has been there like well was there, but football had kind of been there the whole time. You know, that's something I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. So I'd say NFL, but that's tough though. NHL, they have a lot of fun. It seems like, but I don't think they're. I think hockey's just as bad on their bodies as as football is. So I was kind of trying to weigh the options, but it's all bad.
Well, you don't have any goons anymore. When I was your age, it was
That's
there would be
true.
a fight every 3 minutes. So
Just
that was
cause,
okay. Yeah, just yeah. Did you look at me wrong?
just because, right? Hey, you want to
Okay,
fight?
so
Okay, let's fight. Like,
let's do this. So, okay, let me put it this way. An NHL starter versus mostly a backup special teams player in the NFL. So you're a little bit more higher level NHL
right.
perception wise than the NFL.
What team am I on in the NHL?
You get to pick the team for both. You get to pick both
If
teams.
I'm competing for a Stanley Cup every year on the NHL team and I'm the star, I'll take that one.
That's pretty sweet. Are you watching the Stanley Cup this year?
I watch it a little bit. I haven't been keeping up too much. I know Tampa Bay has been dominant for years now, and the Avalanche seem like a good team too. So we'll see who
Okay.
takes it.
This NHL breakdown brought to you by Vassy Lawn and
Right.
Garden. Go to Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. They've got all your lawn and garden tools to make your lawn and garden look fantastic. Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to Vassy.com again, Vassy.com. And then the other thing is that I did want to get to as far as your favorite athletes. Did you find yourself patterning yourself maybe after them at all, the way they carried themselves? Because the way you carry yourself is on display when you're an athlete. Was that anything that you looked at as far as guys that maybe you looked up to and how they handled themselves?
I mean, yeah, obviously, I think like you grow up and you watch the way like Marshawn Lynch handles like the media and stuff. I think it's hilarious. I think it's great, right? I love watching that. I think it's he's his own individual self. But I mean, then you you look at guys like Larry Fitzgerald for instance, right? Larry Fitzgerald is
Oh yeah.
he's a vet, right? He's a very well spoken guy. He's very articulate, very methodical in the way he talks, and is really just knowledgeable about a lot of different things. So like watching him just speak or just be in front of a camera and behind a microphone, everything, it's nice to, like I said, we're all I'm myself, you know what I mean, but it's cool to see that there's people that um I don't know, I kind of watch them, and I guess it is kind of like me looking up to them and being like, okay, wow, like there's plenty of guys at the next level that speak well, that are have these great media presences. And so I think I don't know, just kind of I guess it's modeling after them, I guess, in a way.
Yeah. So you mentioned Marshawn Lynch. He was frustrated because
Yeah,
of dumb questions from the media,
right,
and
right.
you can call me if I'm one of these guys to tell me. But um, have you ever gotten a question that's so dumb from the media that you just were like, I don't really even know how to answer this?
I've had to ask people to like reword questions just because I don't know, like a lot of times you can tell if people are trying to like get something out of you or if they're just trying to pry at something, and I'm just like, sorry, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by that. Could you reword it and then see what they say? Like, oh, never mind. But usually it hasn't been no one. It's never been to the point where I just never answer a question or be rude about it or be short or be blunt about anything. It's never been to that point, but I'm sure eventually it will.
You do not. Well, no, things are going good, so and everything's fine. I don't
Exactly.
think you're ever going to get put in that position, to be real honest with you. But I've been around teams that unfortunately players were in that position. But would you like to use the Marshawn Lynch line? I'm just here so I don't get fined. In a
I'm
perfect
only here
world,
so I don't get fined.
yeah,
um, that'd be funny if somebody were to bring it back out. I don't think I would do it. I'd probably find a different way to say it, but I respect it. I mean, I get it. I get it. I'm sure, and the position he was in was totally different than any position I've ever been in. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is such an awkward thing to think about, and I know a lot of you guys are in front of the camera in high school talking about players on this team, but it is incredibly awkward just to go up to somebody and put a microphone or camera in their face. Do you think it's how challenging was that for you when you first started at getting that to happen to you, whether as a prospect or at Tennessee?
yeah, it was weird for a while, just because like I've always been an outspoken person. Like I'll talk to whoever and I can talk about whatever, right? And I'm comfortable talking with people that I don't know or people about stuff, just whatever it may be. But never really felt comfortable as far as like knowing what to say or am I saying the right things or knowing what not to say, all those different things until I really like kind of got to college and was around it a lot more. But yeah, I guess going through high school, it was it was just weird because you just have a reporter or something and their little recorder right sitting there in in front of your mouth and you're like, dude, I mean, I get it, but all right. And then it took a while. It took a little bit. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's and the first time was probably a bit flattering, and then the second and third time it probably started to get a little bit old, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't really mind it. I understand that the way I look at it, it gives me a chance to just show people that I don't know that I'm well spoken and that I have things to talk about, and um, I don't know. I guess that I just have value as a person rather than just the football player that they see. So I
That
look
is
at it
true.
as a good opportunity.
Well, you're even kill, so that's good. I can actually tell you about one player that is considered uh, outlandish. Might not be the right word, but definitely willing to speak his mind publicly. And
Hmm.
I was asked by a high school coach to interview him coming out of his sophomore year, and said, "I think he's going to be pretty good. You should interview him." And I was working for ESPN at the time, and it happened to be a guy who walked in and said, "You're going to interview me?" And he was stunned, had never been interviewed before. His name is Jalen
Hmm.
Ramsey. He's now doing okay.
There you go. He's doing just fine.
Yeah, Jalen
He's doing
Ramsey.
just fine.
So I guess the key is not to let the attention affect you, because I have seen kids in the recruiting process kind of get the big head through the process. That's
Yeah,
that's something you have to avoid, right?
yeah. I think that like everyone loves attention as much. Well, not everyone. Some people don't, but a lot of people like attention, especially when you're playing sports and you're getting attention because of something that you've done or because you're somewhat recognizable by some group of people, right? And so I think understanding why you're getting attention or where the attention's coming from, and just you have a kid that's 16, 17 years old and has never been treated in this way before in his life, maybe, right? And so all the praise, all of the stuff that people are talking about, and all the predictions and all that stuff kind of just can get the best of you. And I mean, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it. The intention's great, and um, it's part of the game. But I definitely think people can kind of get carried away with it in a way.
Jacob Warren on our Vol Report, brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to Vassy.com. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Toro, count on it. And Jacob Warren, give a happy belated Father's Day to your dad from me, and
Will
appreciate
do.
the time. Appreciate the time as always. He is Jacob Warren. I'm
Hmm.
Dave Hooker. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports.